Can I grade a comic book? Welcome to my comic room. Well, here I am in my dining room because right now I need the room. And what I did is bring out a few things. And those things are guidebooks. And I call them guidebooks because I can look over a comic book and give you an idea of what it is. Like for instance, this one right here, this Fantastic Four number 41. I think it's a 3.5. And that's just looking at the cover. I got to look at the back. And to do that, I'm going to take this out of the bag and board. And it is a newer bag and board as well as the tape. So the tape is pretty much smoothly coming off. Now, being that this is my book, I do the wrong thing and I just pull it out. Since I'm showing you how to do it, I am going to do the right thing and take the pieces of tape off the bag and place it in an area where the comic's not going to touch it. Now the other thing I have noticed, at least on newer books, what's been happening is when I'm sliding the book in and out, it's leaving a residue on the backing board. And that is the ink coming off of the book. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get in the habit of actually taking the comic and the board out at the same time. I'm trying to get my finger underneath and just slide it out as so. Now, I can keep it on the board and I can look at it and I can see the defects. In fact, I'm going to just lift my light up a little bit here just so I can get a little bit more light in here because natural lighting is so much better to grade a comic. At night, I will use a flashlight to go over the comic so I can see the defects, but it's still not as good as natural light. I do have some nice lighting in the comic book room, which also allows me to have the ability to look over the comic book properly. And once again, natural light is so much better. Now, I notice a lot of creases, a lot of spine ticks, a lot of rips. It's dirty. The staples, I'm going to have to double check the staples, make sure that they're original, and even some flakes missing. And also to let you know, this book was owned by Richard Peterson. As I looked at it through the bag, I was thinking a 3.5. Now I'm looking closer to maybe a 3. But one of the things I do when checking out the book is counting the pages. And I tend to do that first because I do look for 0.5s, and if it's missing a page, it's a 0.5. And really, there's no reason to go any further, no matter how good the book is. I know CGC will grade a comic as a qualified book if it is above a 3.5. I don't like that. I like my books graded as they are, not if they were whole. Let's count the pages. Try not to stop to read the book as the thing gets thrown out of a truck. And as I go through, I'm 8 pages in and I'm to the center. And it does indeed look like they are the original staples. They are just not centered entirely as they are mostly on the front cover. I can buy a Darling Live Pet Monkey for $18.75. The book is complete. That's the easy part. However, there's 4 more Marvel masterpieces that came out around the same time as this Fantastic Four issue number 41, including Amazing Spider-Man number 27, the Tales to Astonish issue number 70, which I believe was the beginning of the Submariner and the Incredible Hulk. The other one is Thor issue 118 and X-Men 12, the Juggernaut, his first appearance. So there you have it. The pages are all there. Now it's a matter of looking it over. I do a few things, and I'll probably speed this up after I stop speaking. I use index cards, and I write down everything as far as the defects are concerned. I do tend to go a little OCD in this regard because I will go by this book right here, and I will go as far as the defects are concerned, section 5, page 133, and I go in order, mainly because it's an OCD thing. It's just every time I want to do the same thing over and over again, Normally when I write my own defects without using a guide, stress lines, it's one of the first things. Spine chips, second thing. If I go by the guide, it just makes things easier when I compare it to the other books that I grade. I also have the Overstreet's Guide to Grading Comics. And this one here was one of the first ones I had. This is the other one. And they do help because these also have pictures in it. So I can look at a 3.5 in here and look at a 3.5 here and go, okay, that's about the same, and then check the defects. They have a Fantastic Four 48 in here. Wish I had it in the comic room, but I do not. Give me a moment. I'm going to start doing this, writing everything down, including title, issue, date. Now to find out the issue, of course, all you have to do is look on the outside. However, if you also want to know the month and the year, well, that you got to open up. And in this case, it's actually on the interior wrap of the cover. So it's showing it's August 1965. So here we have that Fantastic Four, number 41. You can kind of see the spine, all the defects, all the spine creases, all the stress lines, the staple rips. Richard Peterson. You have the indica, I believe, on the left-hand side, which is on the cover rather than the bottom of the front splash page. Advertisements the way they should be. Some printer holes. The pet monkey, that was 20 cents off. Look at all those indents. When I see piece missing, it's a tiny piece, but it's missing. So starting in section 5 on page 133 all the way up to page 244 are a list of defects. After that, on 245, 246, and 247, along with a little bit on 248, is a index of defects. Now, I did write down what I saw that will majorly affect a grade. Underneath, I will write who wrote the book, Stan Lee. And I will also write the artist, of course, Jack Kirby. And I'll also have the cover artist. I'll have to double check on this one. I looked it over and I will assess it. And I do, once again, believe it's around a 3.5. So after looking it over and thinking possibly that it was a VG as it was in the bag, after I took it out of the bag, and I'm thinking a 3.5. Now, this also has an index of grades by, well, cover. And in this issue, they have Incredible Hulk number 181. I'm looking at a 4.0 or a very good, a VG, and it looks in between that VG and that VG minus. If I go one more further to a good, very good, it's even less. So I think I am going to stick with that VG minus grade, that 3.5 grade. And I do have a Overstreet's right here, which I can look up how much it is, as I will put everything on the information on the back. So let me get working on that, and well, let's continue on. After grading the book, I placed it back in the bag. I did tape the grade and the defects on an index card on the back. I gave it a VG minus, and well, for sales wise, I went $32. Now, I know VG in the guidebook does say $32, and I have it as a VG minus. Well, the guidebook is just a guide. It's not exact science. Even with GPA, and you have it grade by CGC, the grades do fluctuate, and they're easy to fluctuate on a quicker basis because of the internet and, well, how fast the world moves. The guide is printed out once a year, and, well, it doesn't change. In fact, some guides stay the same for years. I figure I'll just up it just a little bit because, let's face it, someone might go, well, can you come down a little bit? Now the fun part. Let's take some pictures of these closer defects. Let's go through everything, and let's see if I can edit this video properly where you want to share it with others. I'll end with, as I always do, thanks for watching, collect what you love, and most importantly, be kind.